Hello everyone, welcome to Beginner's Guide. In today's tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to create responsive website by only using HTML and CSS. We are not going to use any JavaScript to create this responsive website. We are just going to utilize CSS and HTML to create this responsive website. I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know about how to create this responsive website using HTML and CSS. So here is a demonstration. On a big screen, you are able to see the menu items like this. In case if you want to see this application on a small screens like mobiles and tablets, we have to make it responsive. For that, I'm using the responsive design. When you click on this hamburger symbol, it will display the menu items. When you click on this close icon, the menu items would disappear. This is what you're going to learn in this tutorial. If you like this video, do not forget to hit the like button. If you want more content like this, do not forget to subscribe the channel. Now let's get started. I'm going to open my text editor. Here is my basic HTML boilerplate. Here I'm going to create the header tag with the class name called top section. Inside this one, I want to have an anchor tag. I want to give a class for this anchor tag, name called logo. I want to give a text for this one as a logo. Let me use the hash here. I want to have the nav tag. I want to give a class name. Inside, I want to have the menu items. Let me open this file with my browser. This is what you're going to see. Now the next thing is to style this part. As you can see the original design, we have the background image. First you need to create the style.css file for you to style your HTML document. As you can see them here in my initial style.css, I was trying to remove some initial margin and padding from the page. The next step is to, of course, you need to link that style sheet inside your HTML document. For me to include the background image, I'm going to choose the body section. So the first step is to include the background image. For that, I'm going to use this property. Name of the file is pg.jpg. I want to center the image. Let me open my browser just to see how does this one would look like. This is how it's gonna look like. Now I don't want to display the image multiple times, so I'm going to use this property name called no repeat. As well as I want my image to cover the whole page, so for that I'm going to use the background size as cover. Let's go back and check how does this one would look like. I'm sure that now you can able to see. So another thing that I want to do them here is I want to set the minimum height to the 100 viewport height. This one you have to set it to cover the entire page. Let me save. It's not going to show you anything, but it is important for us to set that property. Now we worked with the background image. Now the next thing is, let me just work side by side. Now we need to work on the navigation menu items. So for that, first I'm going to select this class name called top section. And then I'm going to include these things. Let me save. I'm sure that now you can able to see the menu items has been pushed to the right side. I want to align the items to center. I want to set the width to 100%. Let me also add some padding. Let me save this one. I'm sure that now you can able to see some padding has been added. So let me add some background just to see how this one would look like. Green. So I'm sure that now you can able to see this is my background. Don't worry, we will change the background. I just want to see how this thing would look like when I add a background. Now I want this navigation menu to be fixed. So for that, I'm going to use the position as fixed. The next thing is I want to work on these items here. So for that, I'm going to make use of the class navigation. I'm going to target the anchor tags. Next, I want to add some space between these things. For that, I'm going to use the margin property and space between the items. Let me add some font weight. This is how it's gonna look like. Now we need to work on this logo. For that, let me go and pick the class for the logo. Now I'm sure that you can able to see we have worked on this logo. Now the next thing is, if you could go back to our original design, when I hover on these menu items, there is this line that comes beneath these menu items. So we are going to work on that one. So for that, let me go back I'm going to get the class name for those menu item. The class name is navigation. From the navigation class, there is an anchor tag. I'm going to use the pseudo class name called after. Here I'm going to set the content to empty. Since we want to bring the lines beneath these menu items, I'm going to use the position property. So initially here on the original navigation, let me set the position to relative so that I can able to use position here as an absolute. From the left, I want to make it to 0. We want the line to come beneath the menu options. So for that, I'm going to say bottom -3 pixel. Use height property. I also want to set the width to 100%. The background color for the line is a white, so let's also set the color. Let me save. So when I click on this one, I'm not able to see anything because initially the lines are hidden. So we want to bring that line only when we click on or only when we hover on these menu options. So for that, what I'm going to do, initially I want to hide them. So for that, I'm going to use the transform property with a scale. Initially I'm going to set it to 0 on the x-axis because I don't want to see them initially. I want to see those lines only when I hover on those menu options, right? So transform origin will be bottom left. Now initially the lines will be hidden. We want to see the lines only when I hover on these menu items. For that, in the next line, I just want to copy this. When I hover on that menu option, I'm going to use the pseudo class after. Now you want to see those lines, right? So this one will be used to hide the lines. Now if I change the values for this one from 0 to 1, it should be able to display the lines when you hover on that particular menu options. So let me go there and refresh. This is not color, actually this is a background color. Let's see. Yeah, that's the reason why we were unable to see. When I hover on this one, I'm sure that you can able to see the line beneath these menu items. Now we worked on this part. In case if you want to use some nice fonts, you can actually use some Google fonts. Let me show you how to use Google fonts. I'm going to open my browser. Here I'm going to type Google fonts. Select the first link. I love using this Poppins font, so I'm going to type Poppins. There are different fonts here. Let's say I'm interested in this font. I'm going to click on this one. When you click on this one, it will be highlighted like this. Now click on this option, says get font. After clicking that option, here you will see these two options. I'm going to click on this get embed code. I'm going to click on that one. So I'm going to choose this import option. Now copy this code, open your CSS file, try to put this one on top here. So you remove this style tag. I don't think so that you need because it's already in the style.css. I'm going to save this one. Now you can actually make use of that font using the font family property here to use the Poppins, the one that I just downloaded. I'm going to save this one to see the changes. I'm sure that you can able to see now the font looks much better than the way that it looked before, right? So the next thing is we need to, this is the full page view. Now we can able to see how our page should look like when the screen is big. In case if your screen is small, especially when you want to use these applications on a tablet or a mobile phone, we need to make this application responsive. For the same, what I'm going to do, let me just click here, go to the inspect option. So this is a big screen. When the screen size is small, we have to make this part responsive. So for that, what I'm going to do, I need to use those two icons that I was using them here. One is a hamburger, as you can see them here. When I reduce the screen size of this application, it should bring me this hamburger icon. When I click on this one, it should also bring me this close icon. So for that, I'm going to make use of the Font Awesome website for me to use those icons. Font Awesome CDN. So click on the first link, copy the first link, go to your HTML, and then inside the head section you paste that CDN that you copied. Now you should be able to have an access to the icons from the Font Awesome website. So again, go back. Now we go to the Font Awesome website. As you can see them here, click on this fontawesome.com. Go to this option name called icons. We need hamburger, so I'm going to type menu. So I'm going to choose this one, click on this one. Now you're going to see this file for the HTML. Just click on this part, it will be copied. Now go to your HTML. You need to bring in that hamburger sign. So for that, just beneath this logo, I want to create a label. So inside the label, I want to paste the class that I have copied. So for this class label, I want to give a class. So let's say, for example, the class for this one is, the class name can be anything. I'm just going to say icons. Let me save this one. Let me go back to the document. So I'm sure that you can able to see the icon here. Now I want to work on this icon. I want to increase the size and change the color. So for that, I'm going to make use of this class that I've given. The class name is icons. Now I'm going to add the following styles. Let me save this one. Now it looks bigger and clearer. So the next thing that I need to do them is, this hamburger sign should come only when the screen size is small. So for that, I'm going to make use of the media query property. So I'm going to set the maximum width to 768 pixel. So what does that mean? When the screen size becomes 768 pixel, I want to display that hamburger sign so that it will become responsive. So inside I'm going to say icons. I want to display that. So I'm going to say block. So the next step is to make these navigation menu items to be displayed in a vertical order when the screen size is small. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to target on the navigation class, which is this one. So the reason why that we are doing this one, when the screen size is small, we want these items to be displayed in a vertical order. At the moment, it is in a horizontal order. So for that, I'm copying the class name from my navigation bar. Here I want to set some properties for it to display vertically. Let me save and run so that you can able to see. As you can see them here, now my hamburger sign is this right side. And then what I can do now, instead of displaying the hamburger icon as a block, I'm going to say inline block. And then I also want to set this hamburger symbol from the left to 5%. Let me save this one. Now what I'm going to do, let me make this one as a full screen. When I reduce the screen size, this is what is going to happen. I'm sure that you can able to see these menu items are not in vertical, but it is still displaying in a horizontal order. So for that, what I'm going to do, instead of saying top is 0, let me make this one as 100. Now I'm sure that you can able to see these menu items are not displayed in a horizontal order. At least it's not on the top of this particular header section. We brought these things into the next line. So the next thing that I'm going to do from here is this. I'm going to copy this. I want to target each menu items with the help of the anchor tag. So here I'm gonna say display block. Let's see how does this one would look like. Now I'm sure that you can able to see the menu items are displayed in a vertical order. So the next thing is we need to work on these menu items, because at the moment we only have hamburger sign. We also need to bring in that closing icon. So when I click on that closing icon, this vertical menu should disappear, and then it should able to hide these menu items until I click the hamburger sign. Isn't it so? So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add another icon, which is a closing icon. So I'm going back to the Font Awesome icons. I'm going to type close. So these are the options I have. So let me look for the one that I want. I'm sure that This looks better, I guess so. I'm going to click on this one. This is a CSS class that I want to copy. I'm going to click on this one. Now it has been copied. I will go back to my HTML, and then just beneath this bars icon from the phantasm, I'm going to paste this one. Let me save this one. Let me go back to my CSS to see how does this one would look like. Now I'm sure that you can able to see the closing icon. Now the thing is, when I click on the bar, it should bring this vertical menu option. Then the bar icon should disappear. It should bring the closing icon. When I click on the closing icon, it should disappear together with the menu options. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap these two classes into a checkbox. So what I mean is, I'm going to create the input type here as a checkbox. I want to give an ID for this checkbox. Let's say, for example, I want to give an ID for this one as a checking, something like this. So this same ID checking, I'm going to pass as a value for the label. So that, let me show you what will happen. Now I'm going to check this one as well as uncheck this one. So with the help of this checkbox, what I'm going to do, I should be able to bring and close these menu options, vice versa. So let me show you what I'm going to do. So from here, I'm going back to my CSS. So I'm going to target this closing icon for now. So the class for this one is icons, because it's part of the icons. I'm going to copy this. Actually, after these icons, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use that class that is icons, and then specifically I want to use the ID for that particular closing icon. In this case is, let me say I want to give an ID to this one. So ID for the first one, I can say bars. ID for the closing icon, so I want to look for this ID from the icons menu. So I'm going to say close. Inside, what I'm going to do, I'm simply going to say display none. When I save this one, I'm sure that now you can see the closing icon has disappeared. So the idea behind this one is that closing icon should come only when I click on this hamburger menu. When I click on this hamburger menu, the closing icon should come and this one should disappear. That's the idea. So for that, I'm going to make use of this checkbox that I have created. So from here, let me show you how I'm going to make this menu to disappear and come back, vice versa. So I'm going back to my CSS. So before this one, actually before the media query that I have, I'm going to use of the ID that I have created for the checkbox is checking. Let me just copy this one, because I'm going to play with this checkbox for me to bring and close this hamburger sign. For that, I want to target that checkbox. So inside, I'm just going to say display none. So now you might see that the checkbox has disappeared. So the next step is, I'm going to my media query property. Now I want to bring that particular checkbox when I click on the bars. So what does that mean? When I click on this bar, this one should disappear and then it should bring the closing icon. For the same, what I'm going to do, checking is the name of the ID. When this gets checked from the icons class, I want to choose the bars. That's the name of the class for the hamburger sign. Now I want to make it disappear by the help of display none. Now here we are writing that when I check on that hamburger sign, it should disappear. When the hamburger sign disappear, what does that mean? We should bring back the closing icon. So for that, I'm just gonna copy this part and then let me paste them here. So now this time, instead of bars, it's going to be close. We want to display the closing icon, right? So I'm gonna say block. Let me save this one. So now that small box has disappeared. The assumption is that small box is now acting on these two menus, check and check. So what does that mean? The next thing is, when I click on this hamburger sign, it should bring back this vertical menu options. When I click on this close icon, it should remove these vertical menu options that we are seeing them there. So for that, what we need to do, let me just go back to the code. So within this media query, let's say before this navigation, somewhere here, so instead of saying close, so this time I want to work on the menu items, which is simply a navigation and anchor tag. I want to put a dot here because it's a class, so I'm not working with icons. Actually this time I want to work with the menu items, which are part of the navigation. I'm sure that even here there is a typo error, so it's better I can copy paste. So here I need to specify the height. So let's say height is 17.7 rem. Let me save this one. There is a repetition there, so for now what you can do, remove the anchor tag. We are just working on the height of the navigation, not really the menu items. So remove the anchor tag, save, and let me refresh. When I click on this one, okay, there is nothing that has changed, but we are just defining the height of these items. So in the next step, what I'm going to do, I'm going back to the anchor tag that I have for that navigation. Here I'm going to define how my list items to be displayed. For that I'm going to use the transform property. I set it to -50 pixel my y-axis. So the next thing is, when this one gets checked, this time I'm going to include the anchor tag. So here I'm going to say, now this time I want to set it to 0. Let us remove the overflow. Navigation, let us remove the overflow by using overflow hidden property. I'm sure that now you can able to see the menu options have disappeared because there was an overflow. So now we made sure that it is hidden. So when I click this one, now I can able to see the menu options. When I click on the close icon, it has disappeared. I'm sure that you can able to see. Let's say for example I want to have some background color for this vertical menu options, and I also want to make sure that the background color matches with the background image. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going back to my code. I'm going to make use of the backdrop filter option. So for that, I'm going to the navigation here. Initially I want to set the background color 0.1. This is a background color. If you wanted to make this one transparent, the best thing that you can do, you can make use of the property name called backdrop filter. Since I'm using the Chrome browser, for me to use the backdrop property, first I need to work with the WebKit method. So I'm going to use filter. So here you're going to specify the filter. I'm going to say blur 100 pixel, and then in the next line you should be able to use the backdrop filter option. The reason why that we are using this color is to match the background color to the background image that we have. And then again I also want to include the underline for each of the menu items. So for that, here you can actually include navigation class. From the anchor, I'm going to use the pseudo class after. You want to include the line to the menu items. So for that, you have to specify the width. Let's say for example 8%, and then from the left, let's say 46%. Let me save and go back and refresh. Now when I click on this menu item, now you can able to see the line beneath these menu items, right? In case if you want to change the background color of this one, you can actually do that by just copying the same color that you have them here. Just copy this. Now where do you want to apply this one? The place where you have set the background color as green, this one. So replace this background color with the one that we have. Let me save and refresh. Now I'm sure that you can able to see the background color. Let me just reduce the option from 05 to 02 so that it can be in a light color. It won't be looking dark like the way it is looking now. I'm going to refresh. This is a small screen. On a small screen, this is what you're going to click on. That one, it will bring the menu item in a vertical order. When you hover on the menu item, you will get this underline as well. So when you close this one, it will disappear. When you increase the screen size, it will go back to the normal. This one will become responsive when the screen size becomes 768 pixel. So if you change this one to 768 pixel, you should be able to see the hamburger menu. When the screen size is above 768, like 69, you find that the hamburger menu has disappeared. Now I'm sure that you have learned how to create a responsive website by only using HTML and CSS. If you have any questions, you are free to ask me. Otherwise, keep supporting me by giving me a thumbs up to this video. Thank you.